on a little bit of a quest recently to try and make builds inspired by items that I never use, because there's so much in The Sims 4 now, and yet I still find myself gravitating towards the same items that I like the most or I'm the most comfortable with. And by doing this, I've kind of discovered some hidden gems, like maybe swatches I didn't realize existed, or even just items that I kind of forgot were there. So today that quest continues, and this time it is inspired by my least favorite wallpaper from the university pack. I don't really think this is the worst wallpaper in the game. I think I kind of like it sometimes. I just find it hard to use. It only has 4 swatches, and they're all kind of like this plain stone with little bits sticking out of it. So it's like stucco with some stone accents, and I can see what they're going for. I just feel like there's something kind of weird about how it looks in The Sims. So I kind of went digging, looking for some inspiration photos that might work for this, and I found this drawing of a little cottage, and this is kind of a different vibe. It does have that stucco, and there is some little bits of exposed stone, but I think this one is just meant to look old, so there's like some peeling walls. Ours is gonna be a little bit different, but I do think that this shape and like the cottage energy and this roof texture might be kind of an interesting combo. So we're not gonna build this exactly, but I'd like to build something kind of like this. I'm on a 30 by 20 lot right now in Brindleton Bay, which might be too big because the house is quite small, but we can always change that. I think that shape-wise, I actually really like what the main picture has, and it kind of has that interesting little balcony thing going on, which I've never really considered on the side of a house before. So that might actually make for an interesting touch. How many tiles is this? Could it be? No, it can't be a tiny home. I was gonna say it's possible, but it's unlikely. If we made it really skinny, we could do it as a tiny home, but I don't know if that's really worth it. Although it being really skinny is kind of cute. If we do this, we are definitely gonna have to switch lots, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I kind of made the roof a little bit curvy too. The house in the picture has a lot of like little bits of fake roof going on, so stuff kind of like that. There is a little base game one, which is actually not little. Now that I look at it, this thing is huge. So I guess that's kind of an idea. I feel like the ones from Jungle Adventure are probably a little bit better suited, although there's also this one. This is from the rent pack. I don't know if I like that color with the wallpaper. I haven't actually tried yet. It's hard because the lighting on this lot is like so bad as well. You can't ever see the colors correctly because the lighting is always kind of weird. Let me do a switch. I'm gonna move it somewhere else just so we can see better. I don't really want to build it in like Newcrest because that's boring, but sometimes you just need to see it a little bit more clearly to tell how it's gonna look. We can always build it here and then move it, I guess. Look how small it is. It even looks small on the 20 by 15 lot. Okay, you can see that way better now. Like it actually looks true to color. I wasn't really picturing this roof texture though. I was thinking something more along the lines of like this one, and even now that I say that, when I place it, I think it looks bad. So I don't know. I guess I could make my own little tiny roof piece. We could kind of use this one ourselves and make it a little curvy, and that might be okay. What do you think would happen if I made it medium wall height? No, that's bad. Never mind. Sorry. Bad idea. Bad idea. Worth trying just to see, but not a good idea. I do think that I like this color together. It's kind of weird, but potentially in a fun way. And then I want to use a bunch of the cottage living windows. Now that one with the red kind of has potential. I don't know if it's too much. Maybe the, oh wait, why is that blue? I liked the light brown. I hate the blue. Which is a first, a combination of words never spoken by lilsimsie, but I don't really want the window to be blue. I think that's okay. I honestly think that the blue accent with the orange is kind of cute together. And then imagine if I got some kind of cute stuff like this to support where the balcony is gonna go. We do then have these fake balconies, which maybe is better. No. It's not better to have a fake balcony. It's better to have a real balcony because then your sim can actually use it. I don't think that this door matches anything. Unless, you know what? Is that the right color? That stone trim matches the stone on the wall. I'm being so serious right now. I think that we may have just encountered a miracle. I have never in my life thought that the cottage living doors match anything. I always struggle with this trim, but now all of a sudden it like works perfectly on this build. I think I will try something like that with the downstairs. I think it would also be good for us if we had some sort of extra space on the downstairs, just because then the building would be a little bit more interestingly shaped. And I think that the picture had a chimney kind of like right there, but that's ugly to me. So I might not do that. Oh no. I tried to make the back a little bit simpler to see if it would help us, but now there's like a weird clipping thing happening right there on the roof. I wonder if I could put a chimney on the back. That does happen sometimes. You'll get like a chimney up kind of a central column. It just looks kind of stinky from the back. I think that what I need to do is just extend this out a little bit. It's now 99 tiles, so we are cutting it like really close, but that's okay because it is still technically a tiny home. That's what the back looks like so far. And now I want to go through and add in a bunch of ivy. I'm using a lot of University for this, obviously, because we have the University wallpaper, but also University has some really nice ivy that we can put. Specifically, it's kind of ivy like this that like wraps around the corners, and that is exactly what I want it to look like. There are a couple bits of ivy that come in cottage living, but they're not really like this. Like they don't really wrap around the building in this way. They're more like little standalone pieces, and annoyingly, some of them clip a little bit. Like this piece, even when it's sized down this much, it kind of clips out of the ceiling a tiny bit, but you can't notice it that much. So maybe we can just ignore it. I think a couple of these are gonna clip inside too, which is also bad. Oh my God. Okay, we can fix that though. Look, I can build a wall right there. I'll put something on it so you can't see. And then I'll build a wall like right here too. And I'll put like a bookshelf there to cover it. I'll block it so you don't have to see that anymore. I promise. It just looks too good from the outside to pass up this opportunity. Is that centered between two tiles? Not really. I kind of like the idea of putting it on a foundation, but I don't think that we can. It doesn't have to stay a tiny home, but I kind of like the idea of it being one. This tiny house gets less bills and your Sims are happy all the time, so it's not like the best perks, but it's still something. I'll come back to the outside again in a minute. I want to think about the floor plan for a second. I think the staircase should probably go right there next to the front door. And I also think that upstairs we can almost definitely fit a couple of bedrooms. Oh, my balcony is ruined if I put the stairs right there. Look, you can't even put a door. Never mind. False alarm. Sorry. Bad idea. Right here is not as good though. That's the only problem. Oh dear. Okay, I don't really know how to split this up. I guess if we did 3 really small rooms up here, that might be better than having this try and be like one big room. I'll use that cute little cottagey door from Cottage Living. We need to figure out a place to have a bathroom downstairs then, if we're gonna do this. Look at that door. Isn't that so cute? This is a very small room, but I think that's okay. I wonder if I could put the bathroom. Oh my God, that's horrible. Size this down again. Does that clip as much? Oh, it only clips a tiny bit. Okay. Well, we can do less. We can try and limit our clipping. I probably should anyway. Well, I did that because I was kind of picturing that maybe the kitchen could go here in that little nook. Then we could put the dining table sort of like here in the middle. It's tight, but it does work. And then the living room would be up against the staircase like this. Again, it's very tight, but it does work. And this bathroom is comically large. It does not need to be as big as it is, but it might be nice to have one big bathroom just because the rest of everything else is so small. I could potentially also steal a little bit of space to make this room slightly more normal. And this can be like a teeny tiny little nursery. And that might be better. I don't really know. This table might have to be a circle table. It's quite big. I don't need this wall here either, but again, trying to block the weird ivy piece because it's showing. Oh, I wonder if like a big round table like this might be nicer. That's actually really cute. I wouldn't use those chairs, don't worry, but something like that could be good. And that gives us this whole blank wall where we could put like an office or a desk nook or something. Let's start furnishing this. I know I'm gonna use some nice cottagey wood floors. I'm definitely not using those cabinets. I was just putting them there as filler so I could visualize it. I put some columns on all of the corners of the walls. I'm not really 100% sure if that even looks good, but I do kind of like having some fancy bits of trim. These little chairs have cottage energy, so I think I will put those around the dining table. I haven't really settled on a color scheme. I guess we kind of know that it's like brown, orange, and navy blue because that's what the outside looks like. Oh, that's kind of nice though with the sunflowers. I don't remember if Cottage Living comes in the right color because, oh, I think that's the right color cabinet, but I don't like the countertop. I do not like that it's gray. That's too light, and that is also gray. Oh my God. Why are you doing this to me, game? Why? Oh, you know what we could do instead? This might be a better alternative. If we decide against using these cabinets, we could get a blue stove and fridge. That's also kind of the wrong color, but it's okay. It's like close enough. Imagine though if we did different cabinetry. I don't really know about the brown, because that's kind of it. I honestly hate to say this, but I actually think the base game stuff might be okay for this. That's like the exact color scheme that we're going for, unfortunately. Yeah, they're slightly off in color. When you look at them next to each other, it's kind of jarring, but I do think that in general, the vibes of this are good. So I think I'm gonna keep the kitchen like this. Cottage living even has a bunch of stuff that's like really cute for this as well. Like the weird chicken in the corner. We can use that. I might even put this tea set like on a coffee table of some sort. And maybe I could raise this up. It would be cute to have the pot on top of the fridge. Does it raise up to the right height? Yes. Oh, that's a miracle. Maybe I could put some open cookbooks up there and the pot, but just size the pot down a little. Maybe with a little plant as well. Oh my gosh, I actually think that's perfect. I'm gonna leave this counter space open because you do need one to cook on. Okay, look at this. I've been using this paranormal gallery wall so much recently. It looks so good when you kind of put it next to the stairs like this. We do have to be slightly careful because there's not a lot of space. So if I try to put something next to it, we're gonna run out of room. But I think we can put maybe like one wall sconce or something. But that has the right cottage energy that I'm going for. Does this come? Okay, that matches the rug a little bit. I was gonna say I might try that, but actually I might not. It depends what I put as a rug underneath the living room stuff. Because I would like to have a rug in here, but then we've got a lot happening. So let me just think this through. I think the cottage living sofa that matches the door is probably the most obvious choice. I guess I could use a little horse ranch console table. I would have liked to have had a fireplace in here, but I acknowledge that maybe it's not gonna work. There's not really enough space for that, is there? I would also like to have a coffee table, but again, I don't know if we can fit that. So I'm gonna bring a sim and test it real quick. That looks so silly in Willow Creek next to these houses. That is so weird. Stanley, come on. Usually when I think something's gonna work, it ends up being fine, but I'm sorry, Stanley. Poorly decorated? You don't like the environment? Right. Okay. I'll just keep that in mind. Mr. I don't even have walls 90% of the time. Like what? You have no room to talk. Floating roof. This guy gets a floating roof and he says my house is poorly decorated. Oh my God, sorry, hold on. Speaking of horse ranch, I want to use this little rug in the nursery. Maybe the growing together rug would be good. I think that's kind of interesting, that color scheme. I think that this little doormat is maybe a bit too much, but we'll see. We can think on that. A little pro tip sometimes is that if you want to get curtains and like hang them higher up, you know how it tries to forcibly slot to the window? You can just move the window down and put the curtains wherever you want. In this case, it's kind of good because it makes this window look bigger. Like in reality, it's a lot shorter than that, but the curtain being that high up helps. That's kind of a tip they try and tell you when you're hanging up curtains in real life too, is to hang them higher than the window. Like basically put the curtain rod all the way up to the ceiling. I don't know much about real life curtain hanging, but I do follow a lot of house people on Instagram. And that's what they talk about. Oh no, all of a sudden I'm using the Book Nook kit. I didn't really intend to use this many packs, but it's happening. I want to put this full wall of books over here because I think that helps with blocking the leaves. And then I'll pick a fancy little desk. And honestly, I might even use the new one from the crystal pack. If there's any other little gallery walls that seem kind of old, actually, these are kind of cute. These are like little diplomas. They don't have cottage energy, but they are still cute. I guess we could also potentially assemble our own gallery wall. It's just hard to achieve something like this because we don't have like hanging single plates and stuff. So it doesn't look as good when you make it yourself. And it has a tendency to get like way more expensive this way. I don't know if that looks okay or not. I think you can tell what I was going for. Oh, I am so silly. I should have used the cottage living frame. That looks 10 times better. I was planning on using this little shelf kind of by the door back here. It makes me wonder if I could use this shelf in the kitchen. If I put that like high up on top of the window, does that look good or does it look terrible? Maybe a little bit of both. But I think it's both in like a fun way. I feel like it's a good use of the space in a small room. So I'm gonna keep it. I would also really like to try and use this hutch. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Because this hutch, same thing, is quite big. Takes up a lot of room right there by the entrance. But isn't that kind of fun? Your sim's gonna have to walk this way. I don't think they can get through this little section anymore. That's almost all of the downstairs finished. I think the last thing I want to do, we should use this upstairs. That wallpaper in like the primary bedroom would be so cool. Sorry, distracted again. Let me go back down. Oh wait, this one too. In the nursery? Oh no, maybe not. Oh, I can't tell. I'll think about that. Sorry, again, back downstairs. I want paneling. I feel like this place really thrives when it has a lot of like woodwork detailing. This one has a little bit of blue to it, and I know like all of my builds are blue, but I think in this particular case, it makes sense because we have this kind of like teal accent color, and I quite like the paneling. I think it's a nice texture, so I can use the same stuff upstairs. I never know how much stuff to put in these little teeny tiny hallways that we build, because if we overdo it, then your Sims can't even get around, so I can't really put much more than what I have. In the bathroom, I was envisioning using this tile. This is actually from the high school pack. I was kind of picturing something like that, and then using a lot of the base game, like old-timey looking showers and stuff. You know, considering how big this bathroom is, there really is not all that much space to actually put stuff in here. I think it's because of how the windows are. There's just not really a lot of room to lay out the furniture. I did that trick again where I placed the blinds a little bit higher up because it tries to slot right there, but I think it looks better when it's placed higher. Oh, sorry, this is a totally different vibe than I was initially picturing. I might change the floor tile. I don't know if I've ever used this swatch really for a bathroom, and I think that it kind of has the right vibes for this house, so I might do that one. Let me change the light color real quick too, because I think it'll look better if it's a bit more yellow toned. Oh wow, that is very yellow toned. So here's what I'm thinking for the fully finished downstairs, and now we just have the 3 extra bedrooms left to do. I say just as if that's not like a ton of stuff, but the main issue of figuring everything out is complete. Now we just gotta lay out furniture, and these rooms are actually not very big, so I don't think this is gonna be too hard. I personally think that that is a little bit ugly. I don't know if I've ever used that. So maybe in the spirit of trying to use different swatches in this build, we should try it. Oh boy. Yeah, I do not love this. I don't think this is very cute at all. I do think that we can bring it back around. With the right collection of decor, we can make this work. I put a couple of shelves here on this wall, and I think I'll put some book clutter and like some plants up there. Oh my gosh, look at these little owls. We have to use those. And then maybe just a couple of candles or something on top. I feel like this room is already looking better. When I was first looking at the colors, I was getting kind of scared, but with just a couple of improvements and like things on the wall, it's coming together a bit more. I have this desire to put a little bunny statue. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this little thing is the perfect finishing touch for this room. They need to make more stuff like this, just like cute little animal decor, because that is such an adorable item, and all of a sudden the room looks better. So that's the primary bedroom done. I think in this little tiny kids bedroom, emphasis on tiny kids bedroom, I'm gonna decorate it for an infant, because I don't even know if we've got space for much else. Although I guess it could be a toddler's room. We'll have to put a toddler potty downstairs if we do that. Just kind of stick it in the corner, I guess. See, that helps. The bathroom felt kind of empty. Now it's got more. Is it completely ridiculous to give this child a giant dollhouse? Especially because if I did this, they would have like no other furniture in here except for said giant dollhouse. There's just something kind of fun about a giant dollhouse that makes me want to use it. Could you imagine back when you were a kid, if you had a dollhouse that huge and fancy, all of the other kids would have been so jealous of you. How ridiculous is it for a child this small to have a lamp this fancy in their bedroom? Probably very ridiculous, right? But I think I might just leave the room like this. Oh no. Oh no. I don't know where to put this bed. I think I might need to get rid of this little nook. I liked the idea of the nook, but it does make it so I can't have the bed really anywhere useful. I guess I could still keep the nook, but just not put a desk in it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I could put like some built-ins in there or something so it looks more reasonable. It's not actually a dresser or a wardrobe, but it looks like it could be a dresser or a wardrobe. I often put desks in my kids' rooms just because I find that it's useful for them to have a place to do their homework. So I might leave this desk in here too. And I also put an extra toy because the poor toddler has like barely any. So hopefully they can share. And now we must start thinking about landscaping because we have left that until the very end. I feel like if I try to use some sort of fence, none of the stone would match. But then if I use just a regular fence, it doesn't seem cottagey enough. I guess I'm kind of leaning towards no fence, and I'll just put some pretty plants back here. This is where we're kind of straying from what the picture looked like and sort of doing our own thing. I found that it's basically impossible to try and mimic landscaping in real life in The Sims. Obviously you can, but all of the times that I've tried, I feel like it always kind of ends up looking bad. In real life, the kind of landscaping that people do is just different. It's hard to replicate because our plants are so plastic looking. There's just something off about plants in The Sims 4, so I think that makes it hard to replicate real life. But anyway, I think for this, I'm wanting to use a lot of orange flowers. I'm kind of trying to mix and match a few different types of orange flowers, mostly because we have all that orange on the roof, so I'm kind of trying to bring that down to ground level. There's these little tiny pebbles. It's called a gathering of garden stones, and they're in base game. They're not even debugged. It's just in the base game, and I've been using those a little bit in landscaping just to kind of put around in little corners like this. And I feel like those are genuinely really kind of cute. Maybe a gnome or two might be kind of cute to stick by the front door as well. Okay, I feel like that's the whole front of the house complete. I want to go into the back now for a second and put a little bit of stuff out here too. I think in particular, it might be nice to have a couple of little planter boxes put around because then you can use them to grow some stuff. I may also stick some monkey bars, again, just to have something for these Sims to do. And now that the backyard stuff pack is temporarily free, which by the way, if you have not grabbed it yet, you need to. You still have some time, but basically backyard stuff is on sale for 100% off. So you can go grab it for free right now. Now that it's free, I might want to use that in a couple of places. We can get the big backyard stuff table at least. Maybe I'll get a telescope too. This is probably dangerous. We're like playing a dangerous game, putting telescopes out here. It's just fun. Yes, your Sims may die, but that's okay. That is a sacrifice that we are willing to make. All right, I think that we are basically done with the full building now. I really honestly am very proud of how this build turned out. I think this is just so cute. Stanley standing there in the front looking sad kind of makes it. I think he's still mad about it being poorly decorated, but I'm gonna stick it on the gallery. Sorry it's in Newcrest, kind of cringe, but at least the lighting's nice. I'm honestly kind of impressed that we managed to fit 3 bedrooms in there too, so this one worked out pretty nicely. Hopefully you enjoyed the build. It's on the gallery if you want to go and download it. It does use a lot of packs. Oh my god, I have a problem. This is the kind of house that I'm feeling kind of inspired to play in. Like I genuinely love this one, so hopefully you love it too. Thank you for watching, and on that note, I'm gonna end this video right here, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. If you are also feeling a lot of cottage energy right now, you might very much enjoy the Stardew Valley streams I've been doing over on Twitch. I've been playing a lot of the new Stardew Valley update recently, and I am obsessed.